Very good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. I am honored to warmly welcome you to the 127th webinar of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. BASL webinars were conceptualized by the BASL Secretary, Mr. Rajiv Amarasuriya, and has been running continuously since May 2020 from the beginning of lockdown. This webinar is organized by the Professional and Career Development of Women Lawyers Committee and supported by the Seminars Committee. We would like to thank the chairperson, Mrs. Indika Nagaratna Kottagoda, Attorney at Law, co-chairperson, Ms. Nalini Manatunga, Attorney at Law, co-convener, Ms. Aparajita Aryadasa, Attorney at Law, and co-conveners, Mrs. Umeshika Dalpatadu and Ms. Vindika Subasinghe, and the other members of the BASL Professional and Career Development of Lawyers Committee. We also thank the Seminars Committee of the BASL, chaired by Secretary of the BASL, Mr. Rajiv Amarasuriya, with the convener, Assistant Secretary, Mr. Pasindu Silva, and the co-conveners, Mr. Pandula Vanniyarachi, Mr. Oshan Uberatna, Ms. Anne Devananda, and Ms. Nikini Mapitigama. I would also take this opportunity to thank the President of the BASL, Mr. Salia Perez, President's Council, and the other members of the Management Committee of the BASL for all the support and guidance that has been extended. Continuous professional development is important to any profession, and the Seminars Committee has ensured that the legal fraternity continues to develop their skills and abilities, especially at a time when we are socially distanced. On this note, the topic for discussion today is no doubt an important one for all of us, titled The Essential Hard and Soft Skills of the Successful Lawyer. To start off today's session, I would like to warmly welcome and introduce you to our distinguished panel for this evening. Our first panelist is Mr. Ikram Mohammed, President's Counsel. He is a senior President's Counsel who has been in practice for the past 47 years. He is no stranger to the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, having been a past president of the BASL, and is also a former lecturer in the Law Faculty and Law College of Sri Lanka. Mr. Jeffrey Alagaratnam, President's Counsel, is our second panelist for this evening. He is also a former president of the BASL, counting over 40 years in the profession, and is also known for his dedication and interest in the betterment of the profession. Mrs. Farzana Jamil, President's Counsel, is a law graduate of the Faculty of Law of the University of Colombo. She was admitted to the bar in October 1988 and appointed the Attorney General's Department, and joined the Attorney General's Department as a temporary acting state counsel in June 1990. She was appointed President's Counsel in 2016, and she currently holds the post of Senior Additional Solicitor General. Last but not least, our moderator for this evening is Ms. Sandamali Munasinghe. Ms. Munasinghe was called to the bar in 1998. She holds a Bachelor of Law Honours degree from the University of Colombo, Masters of Law from the University of West London, a postgraduate diploma in Forensic Medicine from the Faculty of Medicine of the University of Colombo. She is a legal practitioner in the Court of Criminal Appeal and is the Chief Manager Legal of the Litigation Department of Union Bank of Colombo PLC. Thank you. We would like to remind all our participants on the Zoom platform to reach us via the Q&A chat box should you have any questions you would like our panel to address. Over to you, Ms. Munasinghe.
Thank you, Shania. Good evening, everybody. Let me welcome all of you again to the 127th webinar of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. And this webinar today has been exclusively organized for the personal, professional and career development of the members of the legal fraternity. And I am certainly privileged to be moderating this. We have a panel of 3 eminent President's Council who will lavishly share their knowledge, experience, and wisdom with you. Moving on to our topic today, as Shane mentioned, it is the essential hard and soft skills of a successful lawyer. We all know what a successful lawyer is. That is the dream of every lawyer. However, moving on to the technical terms, hard and soft skills, to give you a very brief introduction, hard skills are the knowledge, education, it may be experience that we have gained, everything that we have acquired externally. Whereas the soft skills are generated within an individual. These soft skills may be your personal character traits, like they may be even your strengths and weaknesses that could be bolstered and strengthened by frequent practice and efforts. How they can be used as tools to further your career is our discussion today. To put everything in a nutshell, hard skills are what we have or what we have acquired, and soft skills are what we truly are. Having said that, I will first pose my first question to Senior Additional Solicitor General of the country, President's Council, Mrs. Farzana Jamil. Madam, clients or stakeholders usually approach a lawyer with the reasonable expectation that the lawyer has that competency and skill to analyze, handle, and resolve the issue of that particular client or the stakeholder. However, there may be lawyers who specialize only in one area but might not be in a position to offer legal guidance to a client or a stakeholder on other areas of law. Generally, in whatever field that we are functioning in, what are the fundamental basic hard skills every lawyer must generally improve to reach and maintain that level of competency that is expected from a lawyer? Over to you, madam. You have to unmute your mic, ma'am. The unmute is usually at the left corner of below the screen, left corner.
Okay.
We can hear you now. Yes, please go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. I would like to thank the Bar Association for this opportunity, and I feel very honored to be part of this panel with two of Sri Lanka's best lawyers, Mr. Ikram Mohammed and Mr. Jeffrey Alagaratnam. Mr. Ikram Mohammed has been a mentor, I think, to many, and so has Mr. Alagaratnam. In addition, Mr. Alagaratnam has also been my teacher, just to strike a personal note there. And I will get on with the question you have asked, Sandamali. The question is directly on hard skills that a client expects from a lawyer. In this age of digital learning, virtual courts, and remote work, this topic of hard and soft skills assumes much significance, I think. And the world has now accepted that virtual courts are here to stay, And as working remotely, even in the supply of legal services becomes the norm, the time is right, I think now, for a transformation on how the legal profession judges the competence of lawyers. You asked the question as to what skills, what hard skills lawyers should have. But how competence is going to be judged in this present day and age, I think needs to be recalibrated. 50 years ago, it was a male-dominated profession where a male lawyer, as I think is the case even now, would spend 100% of his efforts in pursuing his career and giving his best to his client. They usually had somebody at home to assist them, and either it was a wife or a family, and so therefore they could give 100% to being where they had to be and concentrate on career development alone. However, this is no longer the case because, as we can see, women are now the majority in both law schools and entrance to the bar. And majority of the lawyers in most institutions are female. We need to also be cognizant of the fact that we see a clear change in the demographics of the family, including the rise of a dual career family and single parent households. And we add to that the explosion in technological resources, where dismantling of barriers in communications has happened, and it has really altered the way people work. As a result of these changes, the importance of a work-life fit and helping people to integrate their personal lives with their work lives has become an important part of all organizational success, including in the United Nations system itself. Therefore, we now have to recalibrate and redefine what skills are needed and how the competence of a lawyer is to be judged. Now, the practice of the law covers both the boardroom and the courtroom. However, when we talk of balancing or successful lawyering, what is usually covered and referred to is the litigation lawyer who faces the parry and thrust of a live court. And in litigation, success is usually measured by the number of victories in court and the demand and following that a particular counsel has from members of the profession and the public. So, what ingredients then make up a successful lawyer is the question. I believe, to put it in one line, it is how skillfully one uses one's hard skills for the best of one's client. Not just having the hard skills, but using them to the advantage of your client. But before I go any further, I think it is appropriate to quote Charles Dickens from The Old Curiosity Shop, who said, "It is a pleasant world we live in, sir, a very pleasant world. There are bad people in it, Mr. Richard. But if there were no bad people, there would be no good lawyers," unquote. So it is because of disputes that arise that we need to become good lawyers. So what makes a good lawyer and what are the basic hard skills a lawyer should have? It is said that hard skills are separate from soft skills, yes. But I see an interconnectedness between the two, because one without the other is useless in the long run. So like Sandamali said, hard skills are usually more identifiable. It is gained through specific and technical education and training. And it will include and cover the core legal knowledge or core knowledge in a specific subject. And so therefore, these hard skills are easily identifiable. You get it through your education and training and experience. And in other fields, other than in the law field, it will cover technical, the ability to use a machine, the ability to do anything that is technically related to the job you're working in. So the hard skills are necessary to do your job properly, but soft skills will be necessary to do your job effectively. So what then are the soft skills? Soft skills, I think, Mr. Alagaratnam, I think will expand on that, but I'll have to say one line or two about it. It is your overall work ethic, your persona, your innate habits, your traits in the workplace, how you work with other people and on your own. And so they then become those personality traits that identify you as a person. Put differently, in my mind, hard skills will get you an interview, but soft skills will get you the job. So what then are these hard skills? The question is, what is needed to reach a level of competence, to maintain that level of competence, and improve when necessary the level of competence that is expected from a client of a lawyer. Technical knowledge, that means the deep core area of the subject that you're involved in must be known to you. So therefore, one has to know the basics and fundamentals in the particular subject area that is in issue. There is no way out of that. And so therefore, technical knowledge is a must. The second skill that I see being necessary is the ability to be an effective researcher, to effectively research what needs to be understood and known relating to the matter at hand. Another skill that we need very clearly is good language skills. Whatever language, whatever language you're working in, you need to be competent, confident, and clear in your language skills, both oral and written. Because your language skills will reflect and must reflect your understanding of the hardcore knowledge. And having the hardcore knowledge, having technical knowledge, but being unable to put it down either orally or in writing effectively in language that is necessary, whether it be drafting a contract, or whether it be drafting a letter, or whether it be drafting a pleading, communicating correctly, not necessarily using legalese, but communicating correctly and effectively is a sine qua non. It's a hard skill that you need to have. Being able to communicate that properly is, in my mind, yet another hard skill. Then, in communication, precision is necessary. Why we say that is because accuracy and attention to detail is pivotal from a lawyer's point of view. A single word out of place, whether it be in entering terms of settlement, or whether it be drafting a contract, or whether it be even in making a submission to court. A single word out of place can change the meaning of a clause in a contract, while misspelled and ungrammatical communications in legal documents or other documents will give clients the impression that you cannot be relied upon, and it will cost you your reputation as well as the reputation of your firm and your institution. Therefore, precision in communication skills and precision in communication is a skill that I think is a hard skill. Having said that, organizational skills again are important. And I don't mean simply organizing of an occasion, but what is meant here is organizing of the information. So researching points of law, drafting a legal document or contract, managing your case file, meeting your client on time, attending court and networking when necessary with legal professionals is one big juggling act, but it is an essential of our everyday work. And the ability, therefore, to prioritize and remain focused when there are competing priorities is something that we need to do. And that level of organization is a necessity. The other skill that I think we need, which is a hard skill, is analytical skills. Analyzing, meaning gathering data, evidence, information, deciphering that, and understanding what that information really means. It is not simply good enough to gather documents and collect information if one does not read and sift through that and ascertain and determine what significance that set of documents or that amount of information has from the point of view of your client, because that will be the basis on which we as lawyers will be able to advise our client about the strengths and weaknesses of his case. And unless you know the strengths and weaknesses of your case, I think it would be very difficult to forge ahead in court or even with simply explaining matters to your client. Then presentation skills, again, sometimes regarded as a soft skill. But that is only one part of the story. But presentation skills, embedded in that is confidence, confidential speaking, speaking in confidence or speaking confidently. I'm referring to speaking confidently. But one cannot truly be confident or be truly confident unless one is fully prepared. And then we move to deep preparation. Deep preparation, meaningful preparation, I find is one of the most important skills that we need as lawyers. And by this, I mean start by always overestimating your client, your opponent's case. I think it is a good place to start at, to overestimate your opponent's case and never underestimate your opponent, whether it be the petitioner, the plaintiff, or the petitioner's counsel. That would be disaster. So deep preparation, from a personal point of view, deep preparation to me always involves a proper consultation, first with the client, then with the seniors and the juniors in the case, as the case may be, together with the client, and again without the client, with the client as well as without the client. And then another meeting with the client. So there, in my view, there are three stages. One is meeting the client with the senior or the junior, as the case may be, to hear him out and allowing him to talk and understanding him and not interrupting, letting him talk. And then meeting separately as a legal team. And after that brainstorming session has been concluded, once again to meet the client, because by then we should have some understanding or a better understanding of where we actually stand in the case. And at that point, if it is a trial matter, that would be the best way, because you really have to know your witness. Especially in a civil case, you would have to know your witness. And if it is a matter in the appellate courts where oral evidence is not being led and it is only affidavit evidence, then you yet need to know your witness, because it is even more precarious because you're going to put it down in writing. And clarifying matters from a witness who has put it down in writing is way more difficult than clarifying a slip in re-examination. Therefore, knowing your witness and your client is crucial. And that will come only from deep and thorough preparation and brainstorming with the client and without the client as well. Then presentation. The presentation, confidence will come and you will be able to present your case only when you feel confident that you know the other side's case as well as you know yours. It is very difficult because when you're up against a team of counsel or up against the best counsel in town, you might find it difficult. Multiple counsel have multiple ways of doing things, and then you have to learn the counsel style as well. But this deep preparation is, I think, a key hard skill that we need to have. The other skill that I think is important is initiative and independence. Why I say this is, initiative is in effect looking out for the best interest of your client and finding a legal solution. But initiative and independence go hand in hand because it is also a reflection of your professional duties and ethics. It is your professional duty to your client, and it is your ethical duty to the court and the other side. So whilst we have to take the initiative to ensure that your client gets the best he can in court, we have to always bear in mind that as lawyers, we are not allowed to lose our sense of independence, because you can only present a case. You can't manufacture a case. You have to only present in the best possible way a case. So in this process, you need to see the interconnectedness between, I think, what is normally a hard skill and a soft skill. While being able to work in a team is definitely a soft skill, there are times when you might have to take decisions impromptu and on your own. And that need and the ability to take a decision on your own will be possible only when you truly know your case and you truly know your client, and therefore you can take the initiative as well as be independent, whether you're suggesting a settlement or whether you're going into court to argue a case full steam. The other skill that I would like to talk about or mention is creative problem solving. Now, at first blush, this appears to be a soft skill, but it is really, in fact, founded on a hard skill. And why I say so is because creative problem solving can happen only if you have deep knowledge of the law, the subject area that you're dealing with, as well as the ability to connect the dots in the other connected areas of the law or other disciplines, which might have an impact on your client's case. Therefore, creative problem solving cannot be done if you take a approach that is, if there is no lateral thinking, if you take an approach that is only looking in one direction and does not realize and pick up the connections that your client's case or the subject matter of your case might have with several other areas of the law, which don't pop up in the first instance. Then, of course, the ability to work under pressure is there, and as lawyers, we are compelled to keep to heavy workloads and tight deadlines. But it is important to perform properly at that point, because what we do or don't do can have permanent and lasting effects on your client's life. Now, there's another soft skill, but I think we need to draw the interconnection between that and a hard skill. And one of those is commercial awareness in the present age, because why I say so is, particularly those lawyers who work in firms or who work for businesses and for business development, I think they need to understand the wider social context, the political and economic context and issues that may arise in that particular context for that particular client. So again, being commercially aware of what is going on and being aware of what is going on in the rest of the world as well as in the other related areas is a hard skill that we have to learn to develop. Now, having said this, there's one important skill, and that is which should come at the beginning and at the end of every set of skills we have, and that is integrity. And integrity really, in my view, and I think it means integrating what you say with what you do. Meaning what you say and doing what you mean, of course, based on sound legal principles. Sandamali, I wonder whether that answers the question that you raised, and does that cover the area that you were looking at? Is there anything else that needs to be added to that in terms
Yes,
of?
I would like to pose a question later to you in the session, madam.
Okay.
But right now you have covered everything that was asked from you, and you put it beautifully when you reminded us that we should not only have hard skills, but we have to use them in the best interest of our client. Thank you very much for your exhaustive answer. And now my second question I'm posing to both Mr. Ikram Mohammed, President's Council, and also to Mr. Jeffrey Alagaratnam, President's Council. However, I will put this question in two different contexts. One context is that, as we are well aware, sometimes what we have learned or the knowledge that we have acquired does not become sufficient or adequate when we are trying to handle a real life career situation. So this is a place where lawyers really find themselves lost. And also, the young generation of juniors find it difficult to choose a career path according to their soft and hard skills that are inherent to them. In both these areas, how would you suggest? I think Mr. Mohammed and Mr. Alagaratnam, President's Council, sir, you can answer this question at your convenience in any manner you like. You can take turns. What are the main skills that can fill the gap between hard skills, what we know, the knowledge and the skills that are available, and what is actually expected of us? Over to you, sirs.
Can I answer?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Jamil has explained what is hard skill and also basically what is soft skill. But all what I would say, whether it is divided into two categories or not, these soft skills basically would be the attributes each lawyer has or has developed in executing the knowledge he has got or the hard skills he has acquired. Now, if you examine now, from my point of view, I think Ms. Jamil covered the wider area. From my point of view, if I discuss as regard the success of a lawyer, I would basically refer or consider the success of a practicing lawyer. But some of the personal attributes or soft skills which are needed will be equally applicable in respect of all other areas where the lawyer has to use his skill and professional ability. Now, if you examine, the best way to examine is to consider the life of senior lawyers who have been very successful in our career. Now, we have had many lawyers, and we have seen during our time people like senior lawyers like Mr. Vijawan QC, Thiagalingam QC, Mr. Navarthada QC, Mr. A.C. Gunratna QC, Mr. Gonan Vijayaratna QC, Mr. B.J. Fernando PC, who is my senior, Mr. H.L.D. Silva, Mr. Eric Kabarsing at PC, and so forth. Now, all these people have certain qualities with them, which have brought them to the limelight in the profession. Now, all the lawyers have the basic hard skill, as Mr. Jamil pointed out. Without that, you will not be admitted. But what makes them different to hit the limelight or to be successful as lawyers. They have certain personal attributes. Now, one of the most required attributes was, I would say, was something, an advice that was given to me the day I joined the bar. When Mr. B.J. Fernando introduced me to a very senior doctor, Mr. Rahim, so and so is my new junior. He said, yes, son, come sit with me. And he said, I can give one advice to you, son. Study your brief like you know the backside of your hand. Don't go behind money. Study the brief, money will come in search of you. So that was, in fact, one of the finest advice I got. Was wherever you present a case, what is needed by you is the preparation and the commitment to the cause. Now, when every day we see lawyers arguing cases, and some of the times, or most of the time we see, they have not done their homework. They are not prepared. And we do our performance in court is public. We are seen by the judges, we are seen by the lawyers who are seated, we are seen and heard by the litigants who are in court. Therefore, if you do not make your preparation, you are noted to be a person who has come to court without being ready. Now, how do you make your preparation? You can't prepare a case unless you study the case. Your knowledge is different, but that knowledge has to be applied to the facts of each case. Each case is different, each brief is different. So you have to study them in detail. Now, studying in detail would also mean that you have to make your own notes with reference to pages, with reference to evidence, with reference to all the other connected matters, so that you are in a position to answer any question put by court on any matter. We have seen lawyers searching for information from the briefs on their feet. They very often they do not know the reliefs they have sought for. Simply they won't know whether one has filed objections or not. Some papers, whether they are in the brief or not. So this will go to show that you have not prepared. So how do you prepare the brief? Preparation necessarily means that you have to have your time managed properly. Now, unlike those days where each lawyer was handled with one or two cases, we see now the number of cases have improved, number of courts have increased. Therefore, we have to, in a daily appearance, we have to do many cases, numerous cases, numerous judges in numerous courts. So preparation is difficult. Therefore, your time management is necessary. How do you manage your time? Now, there, I think I have taken the example of my senior Mr. B.J. Fernando, who has always been fully ready and prepared in every case. What my senior did was, whenever he has a little free time at Hausdorff, he will only study and prepare for the next day, or all his written work, he does it at Hausdorff. So that when he goes home in the chambers, he has other time to concentrate on any other matter or the family matter or other. So that practice, I think, Mr. B.J. Fernando juniors have developed. I see, I do that. Mr. Silva does. So that's another way where you manage your time, where without wasting time at Hausdorff, which is seen to be something to be done by most of the junior lawyers. Then time management also requires or necessitates to manage your time in such a manner that you will have your time separated for your family. A lawyer's success necessarily depends on the success that you have, you do as a family. You have to spend time with your family. You have to time spend with your wife, with your other spouse, or with your children. So I have, for the last about 40 years, I have kept midday week or Wednesdays evenings for my family. Similarly, on Saturdays, I will not come to my chambers. I am with the family. On Sunday, we are back to work. So that is, I think, the time management. You must also balance your family life with your work. But however, you must not sacrifice your responsibility to clients or your work, professional work, to any other things. As a whole, what I have developed is that the working days I will, in normal case, not attend any function. Be family function, any other function, I will not. And I have developed a practice where I am not disturbed during the day that I work by my family members. So you must cultivate the practice at home so that you will not be disturbed. Because if you are disturbed and if you don't have sufficient time, the entire world is going to know that you are a lawyer who has come to court without preparing. Then the quality that you must develop is to know the judge or the tribunal head before whom which will apply even to any other place where you must know your senior or you must know your teammates. Now, one of the other qualities is, one of the best qualities the lawyer should develop, in my view, to succeed, is to know the judge before whom you appear, know your opponent, know your the clients who are opposed to you. Now, judge is the best person who, and perhaps the main person whom you are satisfied. And how do you satisfy? You must be respectful to court. You must not antagonize the judge. You must not be disrespectful to him. And that is where, as Mrs. Jamil pointed out, the language or the vocabulary you choose will matter. Never use words which will antagonize the judge. Even if the judge were to make any remark against you, you as a professional will be mature enough to take it with a smile and proceed with that. Not to show the judge that he is wrong, because he's been seen openly by everyone. When a judge is told, no, Your Honor, you are wrong, it may not look nice. Maintain the estimation of the judge and then go on with him. And we normally use the word, yes, Your Lordship or Your Honor, you are correct. But here the circumstances seem to be different. Therefore, we invite Your Honor to consider this and respectfully plead with Your Lordship or judge to see whether this is something different from what Your Lordship is thinking. So the language that you use and the advocacy you command in court would help you to be somewhat different, outstanding from the others. Then in knowing the judge, what is also important is, of course, judges are also human beings like us. They have their personal feelings. They have their own values. We as judges, we respect elders. We love our children. We love our parents. Therefore, in making any submission or in considering anyone before a person, you must be careful to know what sort of a judge he is. And if he is a person who respects elders, handle the elders in court very respectfully. If he is a person who loves children, don't antagonize the children because you will antagonize the judge. And very often these judges, we do not know, they have personal connection with most of the lawyers. They have their batchmates. They have understudied them. So without knowing the background, if you start attacking a counsel to whom he has the higher respect, so you will be on the wrong track. So don't comment on any lawyer personally unless you realize that judge will be with you. Now, in that happens mostly when you have to cross-examine lawyers. Now, lawyers, cross-examining lawyers is a difficult thing. In one matter, I had to cross-examine a lawyer a long time back. I did not know how this judge will react. But with certain questions, I realized he was ready to take on the cross-examination, which he did. And then I continued with the cross-examination with comfort. And then finally, he helped me. So without knowing the judge, don't try to do anything in court, because whatever the knowledge you have, unless it is skillfully operated in court, the results you desire you may not get. Then the other skill that you need is the presentation skill, which as Mrs. Jamil pointed out, then all your knowledge will be useless if you do not present it well. Now, those days when we came to court, we used to see our seniors, Mr. Jayawardhan, Mr. Tyagalingam, or Mr. Ranganatha used to bring books and books, and the table was full of endless and authorities. Now, then the judges were less, cases were less. They could spend days and days on reading their briefs and making submissions. And judges also had all the time. Now, if we try to do that today, we will be just thrown out of the courts. The judges have no time. We have done many cases. They are sending many cases. And we must proceed on the basis that judges also know the law just as we know. And we can cut short, and we should cut short submissions and give whatever you want with authorities by way of writing. Now, therefore, present-day judges would like your submission to be short and sweet and on to the point with relevant authorities. So what we will not be able to do, what our seniors did, and the presentation skill is very important in today's context. Then in the process, what becomes important to a lawyer is the way you deal with your clients and your attorneys. However much you are skillful, unless you are retained by lawyers, you will not be able to show your professional skill. You must, in your dealing with your clients, dealing with your lawyers, attorneys, you must have somewhat a personal relationship. In the sense, you must treat them as good human beings. You must respect them, not to treat them like clients. And also, one other attribute in that concern is never to let down an attorney, your attorney who briefs you in the presence of your clients. Clients will not come and the litigants will not retain you. I remember in one instance where I went for a consulting with a very senior Queen's Counsel, and then my attorney, the learned Queen's of the Counsel, was questioning the managing director of the company as regard the company's assets. And this young lawyer realized that he was questioning him as regard the assets to nominate his fees. Then he smiled and he was not attentive. He was thinking, why is this man questioning on unnecessary matters? All of a sudden, he asked this lawyer, Mr. So-and-so, why are you laughing? If you can follow the consultation, you can please get out. It was somewhat harsh, and the lawyer felt so uncomfortable. And he nominated the fee and told the lawyer, client, have you brought the fees? No. Bring the fees and come first. Then we'll have the consultation. So he brought the fees, had the consultation. After the consultation, what this lawyer told me was, Ikram, if you want, you better go. I will never ever come to this lawyer. And then he had to shift the senior counsel, and he went to another senior Queen's Counsel. Therefore, you are dealing with the client, dealing with your lawyer. However much you are confident, must be humane and not in such a way where he will feel little hurt or he will feel that he is let down. Then, in the process of having that consultation, you must have a lot of patience, as Mrs. Jamil did, all what is necessary to have a detailed consultation with your client and the attorney. And you must be able to spend time for that. I have had, as far as my practice is concerned, I allow the clients to talk as much as possible they want in my chambers. And many of them have said, sir, I don't mind even if I lose the case, you have given me a full hearing, which I have not had from other lawyers. So they must be satisfied because it is there. We have many cases, but there's a problem. Their problem is big for them. So please be humane. Talk to them nicely. Sit there. Offer them a tea or coffee in your chambers, so that you treat that person like another human being who has come with their problem to you, thinking that you are a specialist to solve the problem. However much the lawyer is competent and skillful, no one will come to you unless you act as a good human being. Then, for that purpose, you must also maintain somewhat a decent office or a chamber, where the client will feel confident that he can talk to you everything personally, and what is spoken to you confidentially will not be heard by others. So those are an office of that nature must be maintained, however much you are skillful. And with all that, when you go before court, you must be respected by judges. And how do they? As human beings, we always like people to be dressed well, present themselves well. So attire and their personal appearance also matter a lot in the process. And we will like a person who is dressed better, well, than a person who is not dressed well. Person who looks very pleasant than a person who won't look pleasant. So these are judges also human beings. Please try to do what the normal man would like, and avoid what a normal person will dislike. And there you see all these attributes are finally, they will boil down to the basic concept of the fact. How good are you as a human being in dealing with another human being? You must be honest, you must be truthful, you must be genuine. So those fundamental qualities are necessary despite all your skills. And other aspect which is necessary a tool for a lawyer is the esteem, is the integrity that you have to maintain. And almost all the lawyers, I should say every lawyer who is successful from our point of view is a person of high integrity. And as Jamil said, you must do what you say and you must say what you do. And lawyers must be able to, we must be able to rely on what a lawyer would say from the bar table. That is the integrity that we expect. And that integrity, once you enjoy with your colleagues at the bar and with the judicial officers, I think you are set basically for life. But if you spoil, that reputation, however much you are skillful, the respect you will gain and the popularity you can command will be less. So integrity is the foundation of a successful lawyer. Then also the other personal attributes, one of the other attributes would be to be relaxed in court. Unless you are relaxed in court, you will not be able to think properly on your feet. You will not be able to follow what the other counsel says. You will not be able to follow the judge. So there you must have your ears and eyes open to know what exactly happened. For example, at a trial, if you don't concentrate, a document is marked which doesn't go subject to proof. Thereafter, you will not be able to do that. You don't follow the court, the proceedings. Evidence is some evidence which cannot be adduced, which you should have objected is not objected to. It goes in, then that you suffer. So those are all the qualities which are necessary for a lawyer. And by being relaxed, you should, when you are relaxed, you will know exactly what and how you must object. For example, when you are relaxed, you could think very well, and you take the case of a consignation. Just because you are a lawyer, you are permitted to do a consignation. You should not do that. When you are relaxed, you will think whether it is necessary or not. Don't consignment or don't do anything in court which is not necessary. I can remember in one case where a doctor gave evidence. A will was challenged on the basis that the testator did not have a competent mind to execute, and evidence was that he has suffered from a stroke which affected his mind, and a specialist neurosurgeon was giving some special doctor, especially was giving evidence. While giving evidence, I knew that he was a specialist. We had no knowledge of that. So, as a matter of that nature, then we had to study basic principles of that. And while doing the cross-examination, with great respect to the doctor was giving evidence very truthfully, and we came to a point where judge commented, Mr. Mohammed, doctor must be thinking that he is your client. I said, no, he won't think, he knows what he is, but he's a truthful doctor. So then at that point, that stopped, realizing that to permitting other lawyer to take care of the case. So that is cross-examination, that your personal approach to a witness, to a person who is supposed to you, matters a lot. Then we must also have in the process of court, whatever the proceedings in court, all of us tend to forget many things. Therefore, it is always another attribute that we follow, and we have been taught, is to make short notes in court so that you will not forget. I remember, if I speak about my own senior, Mr. B.J. Fernando, he had a very sharp mind. I would categorize him one of the best counsel one could ever have produced in this country. He had a very powerful memory. With all that, he used to jot down the admissions in a case, issues in a case, and the points for cross-examination. And after cross-examination, he finishes cross-examination on one point, he ticks that off. And then with all his seniority, with all his brilliance, as a sharp memory, with all that, he took the precaution to do that, because that is the best way to do the best for his client. So I see among most of the senior lawyers, they prepare themselves before court and even in court. So that is how your attention must be drawn to the proceedings before court. Then another thing that is, I would say, basically, as the advice that was given to me, study your case, do the best for your client, be honest, and don't go behind money. Now, present day juniors, we have a lot of juniors, they see seniors what they have achieved in life. They have achieved after many, many years. To succeed in law or to be a successful lawyer is not an easy thing. You cannot succeed overnight. Within a day or two, within a couple of years, you cannot succeed. Most of the juniors see the lawyers who have succeeded after me 25, 30, 40, 50 years. So they want to achieve what seniors have achieved in 30, 40 years over a period of 1 or 2 years. We cannot done. It cannot happen. That's not practical. Process is long and it is hard, and you must bear. First, think of the clients and get ready with all your cases properly, so that they will come in search of you and not you will go in search of them. Study the brief as the advice that was given to me by the senior attorney. Don't go behind money. When you are retained, do the best performance, do the best possible thing for your client, and money will come in search of you. So from my practical point of view, the hard skill that you have acquired in all universities, with a PhD or master's, all those will become useless unless you know to effectively put them into operation with your clients, with your colleagues in court, and then attract the judge, attract the clients, attract your colleagues, and to become a lawyer who is popular, who will be sought after, who will be respected. So those are the finer qualities one has to develop, which you cannot study from books. Therefore, other advice that I could give the young lawyers is please sit when you have free time, go to courts, see what your seniors or other senior lawyers are doing, how they are conducting cases, how they are doing their possibility, how they are making their presentation. Today, I see the present day juniors, they don't have the time. We have spent a lot of time watching other seniors in court. Although we were not in, although we were not in the case. Today, the present day juniors don't have that practice. So they must make themselves available in court to see how lawyers are conducting, how the judges are reacting, how are the witnesses reacting. Those are things which we can never ever learn from books. And when we have the facility of seeing many lawyers, senior lawyers, doing that, conducting, please spend your time instead of in the canteen or where you sit and talk. Not that I must not be done, but if you want to be a good lawyer, if you want to be a top lawyer, these are the attributes and personal qualities you must. And one other thing is, which is a cardinal principle, never ever criticize a judge. Never ever criticize a judge. Never ever say that a judge has not understood. Judges, they will do what they feel is correct. If he is wrong, we have the higher courts, we appeal. Never criticize the judge. Because whatever the criticism that you will make in our community, it won't take much time, a long time for that message to reach the judge. So you are not going to antagonize one judge, you will antagonize all the judges. And that is not what is expected from a professional. Be nice to a judge, be good to a judge. Orders can go against you. None of us have got all the judgments in our favor. Very often when judges give orders against you, you realize his judgment is correct. We think from one point of view. He takes on a platform on. Therefore, one can't never, ever criticize a judge. And in the process, I would advise all our young lawyers to respect the judge, not only in court. I say, for example, when you see a judge outside, respect him. When you go in a vehicle, if he is coming behind you, allow the judge to overtake and go without blocking him. So these are little things which are necessary. And this is all, I once again, I would say, all these attributes or personal qualities will be the personal qualities of a good human, good, humble human being. If you are a good, humble human being and treat others as human beings, I am sure that with your skill, you should be able to go to the top, although it's a difficult task. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your enlightening and also somewhat shocking revelations. On the same lines, I would like to invite Mr. Geoffrey Alagaratnam, President's Counsel, to express your views and your experience to this virtual audience.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We've already heard two eminent speakers before me talking about the soft skills and the hard skills. I also would like to add to what they have said. Basically, the legal profession is a profession. A profession is a fairly serious thing. And the first thing we have to realize is, why do we become lawyers? Is it because we have nothing else to do, or by accident? Okay, most of us might have not even dreamt that we would become lawyers. But when you do become a lawyer, do we understand what it is? A profession is a fairly serious thing. Now we have so many professions. Those we talk of doctors, engineers, lawyers. But today we talk of the teaching profession, which is a very valuable profession. We talk of the nursing profession. So, and IT professionals. So that, what does it mean? It means, as Mr. Jamil said, there is a certain degree of competency, knowledge. There is a certain degree of, we are governed by ethics and rules. And we are not just earning a salary or doing a job. It is an aspect of service where we have to give our best for our client, and we have to be persons who are respected. So one of the basic things is you have to have a passion. Whatever you do, you must love it. If you don't love it, you're not going to go far. Realize it. If you don't really love the profession and want to be a true professional, then it's not going to help you. And so therefore, what I think about basics, one of the fundamental skills, as was elaborated by Mr. Mohammed and Mr. Jamil, is, as you say, you got to be civilized. It's not only your knowledge. You got to be civil. You got to be authentic. Authentic is be yourself. Don't try to imitate others. Learn from your seniors. Sometimes we say that we learn the good things and the bad things, and we learn more the bad things from our seniors than the good things. And sometimes they say the juniors are ruder and cruder than the seniors. So you must realize that you are you. Develop yourself. Have a passion for what you do. Learn from your seniors. And one of the things we must know is the profession is a social science, as it were, which has to be in touch with society. So therefore, Mr. Jamil spoke about it, Mr. Mohammed spoke about it. Okay, IT. One of your competencies is language skills and computer skills. Those are very important because remember, your language is what helps you to communicate very clearly. I think we have to encourage people to be at least bilingual. I know that Mr. Mohammed and Mr. Jamil are trilingual, and that's an asset. Unfortunately, you find in Sri Lanka, it is more the Islamic community that knows all three languages than the Tamil community or the Hindu community or the Buddhist community, because sometimes they don't know more than one language. They don't even know English. English is critical. We can't, because we have to face it. One foreign language is important. And that's the only way we get our ideas. And with IT, access to world authorities, we can go to New Zealand, Canada, anywhere and get arguments in favor of our case. So that is fundamental. So be civil, be yourself, develop yourself. And that is something that I would think are in line with what the eminent speakers before me mentioned, to make yourself an all-round professional who is serving the society, who is respected, who is authentic, who are yourself. You don't try to imitate others. Okay? Develop yourself. And one of the things I remember at seminars we used to talk about, how many of us, when we get up in the morning, at least glance at the newspaper to see what are the highlights, what's happening around the world, what's happening in Sri Lanka, because we work in a society. We have to realize that law serves the society. And we have to be alive to the developments, the movements of things, whether it's in medicine, engineering, politics, or anything like that. And therefore, I think lawyers, not all of us might be practicing lawyers as eminent as Mr. Mohammed or Ms. Jamil in the Attorney General's department. I mean, okay, it's good for all of us to try to practice and be good lawyers, but there are various things you can do as a lawyer. You can be either an instructing attorney who does most of the paperwork and filing papers, and that's very critical. Remember, if the instructing attorney messes up the papers, the counsel has nothing to fight on. You lose your case because other side will object to your papers, judge will disallow what you want to do. So a lot of people think that the counsel is a glamorous position, standing in courts and fighting and shouting and winning his case. Okay, I don't believe in counsel who shout, but winning his cases. But we don't realize the importance of an instructing attorney, a systematic instructing attorney who prepares the files well. He has to go behind and make sure things come on time, the documents are filed. If the counsel doesn't have it, counsel can't fight his case. We have to rely on instructing attorneys, notaries. conveyancing. That's critical because we think that you buy a standard form, power of attorney or a transfer form or a lease from house store, you can get a lot of printed form, just put names here and get this. That's not conveyancing. That's not notarial work. There are a lot of responsibilities, how you draft it carefully, getting both sides' views, understand what they want, make sure they don't have any problems in future. And then, so when you, even if you're doing a lease agreement or a sales agreement, there are so many things to look at. And that is why my suggestion is that you should have this as a council. Now, if you look at Mr. Mohammed referred to Mr. Eric Amarasinghe, Sata Samarasekar President's Council, those people, those gentlemen started off as instructing attorneys. They would have known how deeds are done. They would have been filing papers. Then they became brilliant counsel, arguing in court. So there's no status that you should think of. Today, everybody are attorneys, no doubt. So that's why, as the question you rightly posed, okay, if you want to practice, there are so many avenues. Unfortunately, you go into a chamber, it's difficult to find a chamber today, but when you find, you only do that. You don't know whether you are good enough as a very good instructing attorney or a good lawyer to draw contracts or a conveyancing. And that is why I think one of the things we should look at from the Bar Association's point of view is this mentoring. Because I may be working with Mr. Mohammed, who is very famous for land law, but shouldn't I also look at commercial law? Shouldn't I look at criminal law if I can? Now, where do I get that exposure? Of course, thankfully now Mr. Rajit Amarasuriya started these webinars. And on webinars, you can get a fair idea if you get sessions on criminal law, commercial law, bills of exchange, or letters of credit. So that in your first 3 to 4 years as a lawyer, 5 years, you should be able to go through various areas and get not only your knowledge as a lawyer, hard skills, soft skills, how to argue, but see all the aspects of the legal practice and see what you're most comfortable with. Another thing I am very passionate about is that a lawyer who is only a lawyer is not a lawyer, because you have to be alive to other things. For example, do we have basic knowledge? Now, those are things the bar can help. Do we have basic knowledge of business administration? Do we have basic knowledge? Can we read a balance sheet and know how a company's profit and loss account is? Can we analyze it? Now, these are important. And do we know about financials, management, HR? Now, those are important because a lot of us might go into the corporate sector, maybe in the state corporate sector, private companies. If you're only a lawyer, who's a brilliant lawyer arguing the law, you will become senior manager legal. And you will end up as senior manager legal in the corporate sector. While some younger chap who has done IT, who has done management, will end up on the board of directors. What about your upward mobility? So language skills, IT skills, other soft skills of other disciplines are important for a lawyer. As Mr. Mohammed said, he had to cross-examine a doctor. So when you have to cross-examine a doctor, can you just study only the law? So when you have to cross-examine on a fraud in a company, or when you have to say defend a chap who has been sacked about the wrong HR management practices, so you should be able to study those areas. So there, I think that is where things like the bar should be able to help. In the university and the law college, maybe they have certain programs, mentoring programs, and it's difficult to even find today a senior because the profession is fairly overcrowded, they say. But at least the mentoring programs, when you have, for example, Mr. Mohammed can be given 10 junior lawyers who can meet him once a year, once a month for 2 hours to share his knowledge. Or Mr. Romesh De Silva can be told, can you accommodate 10 lawyers who will call you at some reasonable time and discuss their issues? So, or if they want to get a senior criminal lawyer, so that at least other than the court holidays, these people will be exposed to the senior lawyers for at least 2 hours a month for about 5 months. So that way you learn your skills. And by law is more learning by doing. So it's practice, how you practice. And in that you get the insight of Mr. Mohammed on the aspects of land law or marriage law, Mr. Romesh De Silva on commercial law, Mr. Faiz Mustafa on fundamental rights and rates. I'm sure these lawyers will help. Senior lawyers will help. And that is where even in the outstation bars, we have always advised that the senior most lawyers, when there are new lawyers coming into their bar, to be mentors, even if they can't take them into their chamber and give them cases and money, try to at least guide them so that a junior lawyer should be able to call one of the senior lawyers in the outstation bar and say, sir, I have this problem. My client can't afford your fees, but how do I best handle this case? And we should be able to share our knowledge. Maybe sometimes senior lawyers get angry when junior lawyers disturb them. That's a different thing. But we have a responsibility to each other, to the profession. And those are things which will help the soft skills to develop. And also, I know we have a lot of lawyers who are very good at arbitration, negotiation, because remember, negotiation skills. How do you negotiate to get an agreement, to get both parties to win-win? You don't negotiate to trick a person or deceive a person, but to try to compromise and get both parties happy. So negotiation skills, arbitration skills, looking at, now those are all soft skills which a lawyer, if he has, he's a well-rounded guy. He's not just carrying a file, running into court, trying to argue a case and come home. And so this culture has to be brought about. And for that, I think the law college has to play an important role. The faculties have to play an important role to show the practical aspects. The Bar Association on continuing legal education, webinars, to show the importance of an all-rounded lawyer, not only competent in the legal subject, but who is authentic, civilized. And when civil, I mean, you have to respect the court, you have to respect the other side law, you don't insult lawyers, you fight your case hard, and you even respect the client. When a man is in a witness box, poor or rich, you treat him with dignity and respect. He has come. You can trap him if he's lying in the way you want with dignity, but you don't harass, intimidate, insult witnesses. Those are not things that should be done because we are professionals. As a professional, you have to be civilized, decent. Everybody thinks that the louder you shout, you can win your case. That's not the criterion. It's your ability to persuade. So what I personally feel is that in this aspect of soft skills, we also should bring in all sorts of other disciplines to make a lawyer a more rounded person and also provide opportunities for our junior lawyers, at least now, maybe Mr. Mohammed or senior lawyers say, okay, for 1 year, can you help 10 people by having conferences with them every month? They'll call you common time and they'll share their experiences, their problems. You can give your views. So maybe for 5-6 months of the year, those steps will be there. After that, they move on. Maybe if Mr. Mohammed finds one of them is very good, he might give them a brief or two or something and help them. Or tell them, come and work as my junior for a while. I can't give you a permanent place in my chamber. But okay, you work with me for 1 year, I'll try to get you something because junior lawyers, finances are important. That's important. So those are things that the seniors and the bar should be conscious of because some of these guys are, especially in the outstations with the COVID, chaps are virtually bankrupt because they live by the day and young families take on loans. So, but okay, a lot of us have problems. The first 5 years are tough anyway for the legal profession. As Mr. Mohammed says, don't try to run before you start walking. And success doesn't come overnight. It's hard work. As they say, success is maybe 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration. And as Mr. Mohammed says, if you mature over time as a junior lawyer, when you keep applying consistently, competently, open-mindedly, and expose yourself to all this, then people know, okay, you're a lawyer who's thorough with your area, you know how to handle it, you know you're decent, you can be trusted, you're competent, and you're also a person of other abilities. It's not because you have nothing else to do and you're relying only on this, because, I mean, are you a person who's well-rounded culturally, whether it be business, IT, language skills, maybe music, drama? We had Sunil De Silva, who former AG, who was a very good actor in comedies, Fazana's predecessors. So, like, I mean, we must look at the profession as something enjoyable with a passion, if not a mere job with a rat race, fighting each other to just make money and to do one better than the other, or to win your case hook or by crook, or somebody says crook or by hook, whatever it is. So those should never be our standards. And we should leave the profession better than when we saw it, and we should have contributed positively to it. And that the responsibilities are high on the seniors, no doubt, but the guidance and the direction is something that has to come from not only the seniors, the bar, the institutions, to ensure that young lawyers have a wide array of choices, have avenues to develop, and can decide for themselves how they want to go. And so with that, I think those are my thoughts on the matter. And I will leave you with the other two eminent speakers.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your words of wisdom. Now I will pose another question that was specially meant for Mrs. Fazana Jamil. As you correctly mentioned earlier, Madam, legal profession is said to be male dominated. Whether it is in fact so is a question. However, during the recent past, we have seen a very large number of female lawyers joining the profession. Unlike male lawyers, we all know that the lady lawyers have a multitude of commitments in the nature of family commitments or even restrictions that could hinder their progress, career progress. Now, you are a female lawyer who has not only survived in this male-dominated, so-called male-dominated profession, but you have been thriving in this profession. Now, in your view, what are the hard and soft skills that could help a female lawyer to balance her career aspirations with her other external commitments and factors? Over to you.
Thank you, Sandamali. That is a loaded question. What you have asked me, what you're asking is to give or to describe a set of soft and hard skills that will enable a woman lawyer to ensure that she does not regress in her career due to her having to comply with and fulfill personal or family obligations. Is that correct? Is that the question?
That's correct. That's correct. Please go ahead.
So it is as if you are asking me to give you a prescription or a formula for how women lawyers or what they should do to ensure that there is no career regression because of the fact that they have to fulfill personal or family obligations.
Yes,
right?
In addition to that, I would also appreciate if you could look at the aspect whether the existing system supports a female lawyer to promote her career.
So I would like to, whilst I know that I might have to, I will have there will be a lot of criticism on the responses that I'm thinking of making. The truth must be digested as well. The truth has to be acknowledged so that we can find a solution if there is such a solution possible, which again is win-win for all. So I think I would start by saying that there is no one formula. But embedded in this question is the presumption that the job of caring, whether as a mother, a wife, or even as a daughter, the job of caring is one that is predominantly assigned to a female. Whilst biologically it is true that a female has certain duties which cannot be negotiated away from, and therefore this whole social construct that a mother needs a child is a construct that we have all grown up with. In my mind, it is a myth to say that a child needs only a mother. A child needs both parents, brothers, sisters, grandfather, grandmother, a complete family structure for a child to thrive. There is nothing, there is no truth, there's no magic in this, only the mother. And if we begin to understand that on the one hand, and whilst understanding and admitting that as a fact of life, you also are willing to change the mindsets of the men in our lives, whether it's your son, your brother, your father, your whoever, slightly change the mindsets of the men in our lives and get them to understand that describing physical work as purely female is really not a true reflection, because most of what we women are required to do in terms of family obligations revolve around life skills. So a man who knows to cook is not necessarily less masculine. He has just acquired a life skill. So when you talk about these family obligations, it's this whole care duty of caring for your house, your family, all of that. And the social construct that has been built around it, where unless you fit that idea, you're not woman enough, or you're not good enough, or you're not worthy enough. So we as women have to grapple with that. I think we need to acknowledge it and move slowly forward by first looking at the statistics. The fact of the matter is, like you said in the question, women, the numbers of women getting into the profession is increasing. So statistically, the numbers are large. Whether it is England, whether it is USA, Canada, in every jurisdiction, the numbers are increasing, and it is the same, if not more, females. But I think the question is also about what is it that women have to do to ensure that their career doesn't regress because of having to deal with that. So it basically, there are two sides to it. One is a matter of time management, managing time and getting somebody to assist you to ensure that the mundane things in life can be done by somebody else. And secondly, it is also about creating an institutional system that acknowledges that the way, like I said at the beginning in the first question, the way competence is judged has to change. So there are biological restrictions on women for the simple reason that when a woman is at the beginning of her career, most probably, whilst her biological clock is ticking, her male colleagues are rising while she has to take time off, because that is how nature has created us. And that is a blessing that you have to embrace, that you have to use, and you have to accept and make the best of, because that is unique. We must be special if God chose us to be the bearers of the human race. So why are we trying to put it down? We make use of it. However, we have to ensure that we are able to create a system which can assist us so to keep ourselves from regressing. Because whilst men are getting ahead in the profession, and women take maternity leave and time off, you lose out, yes. But that is because you are judged by what is called presenteeism. It is presumed, and you are rewarded for showing the world that you are spending longer number of hours in an office till 10 o'clock in the night. This happens all over the world. It's nothing unique to Sri Lanka. So particularly in the US law firms, if you are seen sitting at your desk, there is research on this, and I have read it, and I will share it with anybody who is interested in it. There is research that has been done, empirical research, which shows that partnerships are offered and given to those women who fill and who fulfill the male mold of being committed to their work. And how is commitment shown? Commitment to work means spending long hours, being seen at your table till 8 and 9 in the night when the senior partner leaves work. And that shows commitment. But a woman who is committed to going home on time or going home early because she has to look after an aging parent or a sick child or even a normal family is presumed to be less capable, less committed, less likely to succeed, less reliable, less dependable. And so therefore there is this misconception that being present and being around is the same as competence. Competence cannot be judged by simply being seen around, spending long hours. Competence is something else. And now in this system where working remotely is becoming the norm, it is the best time for us to seize this opportunity to move this system forward. You don't need to be hanging around till midnight in a particular place to effectively work on your client's case. If when you come back home, you have a system that is in place which assists you, whether it be a parent, a child, or a family member, or paid help, or whatever it is, that enables you to give that commitment in time to enhance your legal knowledge and skills. It's all about finding time to read up your case, to do the best research you can for your client, and be the best you can be in court on behalf of your client. That cannot be done if you are single-handedly trying to read a 500-page brief and come back home and fall into this mold of this perfect homemaker. It is not possible, practically not possible. So over the years, we have seen that, so therefore, I don't think we can, to Sandamali, to answer your question, I don't think we can I can propose a soft skill. I can propose a soft skill for a woman to adopt and hope that that will be the magical cure and panacea for ensuring that there's no career regression. It is bigger than that. The idea is, I think the solution lies in institutionalizing flexible work arrangements to ensure a better work-life balance so that this can be done. Now, to look at the larger picture, because this is a problem all over the world, not only here, in 2010, under the auspices of the United Nations, the UN Women Expert Group did research and they came up with a report. And I will quote to you a little snippet, a little excerpt from that. And this is what the UN Women Expert Group said. I quote, "The data is compelling. Equipping staff to address their work-life needs more easily is a more easy need and vital for the 21st century workforce. The changing demographics of the family, including dual career and single parent households, the aging population, and the dismantling of barriers to households have profoundly altered the way people in modern institutions work. Further, in an age characterized by individual customization of technology and solutions, the idea of customization of work methods cannot remain excluded." Unquote. Now, there was much, this is a huge report, but the gist of what is relevant for the topic that we are discussing is what I tried to extract to put forward today. And in this regard, it is relevant to note for us, from our point of view, that the UN General Assembly resolutions have called for strengthening flexible working arrangements, requesting that the UN Secretary General and the executive heads of entities ensure that work-family policies accelerate gender parity. What they mean by this whole thing is that you must have a system in place that doesn't punish a person, whether he's a man or a woman, doesn't punish a person for being a carer at home. So unless you value the job of caring, you will not be able to create balance and a society that is truly fulfilling. So the related UN policies in achieving this goal have been listed out as follows. So one was, as I said, the flexible working arrangements. Secondly, staggered working hours, which COVID-19 has been doing for us in a way. Compressed working schedules, scheduled break for extended learning activities, telecommuting, part-time work, family leave, maternity leave, and paternity leave. Some of that has happened, as we know. Adoption leave, parental leave as special leave without pay, special leave in cases of death and emergency. And so those are some of the few that are there. Now, what is relevant for us is that the report found that the data that they collected revealed that flexibility in work arrangements is essential for an organization's success. It doesn't mean that because somebody is not there from 8 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the morning, because you can be physically present and totally absent at the same time and be of no use. It enables flexibility and assists employees to integrate their work and their personal lives. And this, the result of that, Mr. Ikram Mohammed already mentioned. He told us, so gave us his personal experience. And I think he is one of the best examples we as juniors can follow. It is well known that he puts his family as an important, keeps them as an important and integral part of his life. And that is the success of the man. There is no doubt that, as we all know, if you have a good family life and a bad career, you're going to be unhappy. If you have a bad career and a very good family life, or if you have a bad time at work and a good family life, you're yet going to be unhappy. They have to both synchronize as best as possible for you to be able to perform in both institutions. I say institutions in a kind of a significant sense, whether it's in your home or in your workplace. So I think we need to have a system that enables us to be our best in both places. And the UN report found, and this is not just my belief, that assisting in improving and creating this flexibility will increase and sustain productivity of the worker over the long period, over the longer period of time. It will also facilitate a better recruitment. You'll get a better quality person coming in and a higher retention rate when people know that their work is valued and that they can work for their employer in a way that befits both parties, and it's win-win for both. It will definitely, and it has seemed to improve the engagement of the employee, because he, whether it is in the private sector or any other sector, he will feel, look, that is my home and this is my home too, and I will do my best in both places. He will feel obliged to do that. So the motivation will be created, and it will definitely enhance the health and well-being of everybody. So, Sandamali, my answer to you is, I find it difficult, to be honest, to tell you how we can develop hard skills and soft skills. And frankly, I don't think we need to be forced to develop soft skills and hard skills, because the role that a carer has to play, whether it's a male or a female, is something that is integral to the betterment of society. You can't compartmentalize the two and say, you do only this and not the other. Therefore, I would say that, like I said before, institutionalizing a flexible working system that does not necessarily pull down a woman merely because, or pull down anybody for that matter, merely because they are in the role of carer. Of course, as women, we have a different and unique difficulty because of the biological constraints that we face. But having said that, I think across the board, the institutionalization of flexible working hours and working systems will ensure that there is least amount of regression to career progression. I wonder whether that has answered what you were looking for, Sanamali.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. I think that was not only informative, you took a very pragmatic approach to the whole scenario, and I'm thankful to you. Since we have only about 15 minutes remaining, I will pose my last question to Mr. Geoffrey Alagaratnam, President's Council. In fact, this will not be the last question if President's Council, Mr. Alagaratnam's answer will be short. Then I can again turn to Mr. Ikram Mohammed, President's Council. Sir, Mr. Alagaratnam, what I want you to answer is, in your experience and opinion, how can lawyers protect themselves against the socio-economic conditions and factors affecting the profession due to economic uncertainties nowadays?
Were you talking about going bankrupt because of the COVID? Is that one aspect you're looking at?
That is, yeah, not only that, sir, I believe for the past couple of years, there have been many instances where the legal profession was severely affected by the socio-economic factors or the changes of the country. So
yes,
if you can...
That's a bit of a tough question to answer, but may I say this, that as far as the lawyers, of course, I don't know, junior lawyers will be hit hard. I think Mr. Ikram Mohammed won't be hit hard because he'll have enough of savings to live off. So, but Fazana Jami won't have a problem.
By all of us.
Yeah, but Fazana Jami won't have a problem because she'll get a salary. Okay, so but the question is, you get particularly the junior lawyers in the outstations who live by the day. Now that is something. I mean, okay, if you have skills, soft skills, you might be able to do some sort of I don't know whether you can branch out into other areas of the law or do international counseling, international contracts, or look for other avenues of work. But that also may be difficult if you don't have language skills. That then, unless you want to say that, okay, you do a sideline teaching or some other type of trade craft, or if you have sufficient insurance, or whether the Bar Association has schemes to allow lawyers, because I know during the COVID, the Bar Association was making an effort, especially for people who are having severe financial difficulties, to get the cooperation of senior members of the bar to set up some sort of a scheme where it's not just to give free handouts to people, but to sustain them over a period of time on the promise that, because otherwise we also get used to free handouts. And that is true as politics goes also, because every politician comes promising free things and everybody looks for free things and we sell our soul for free things. So the question is, now lawyers also, they're professionals. So we help them. We don't treat them as beggars or anything, but with dignity. But also when they are helped, they should also contribute back to the system over a period of time what they can, because we might have to help people in the future, the other junior lawyers. So whether there should be insurance schemes and other things to help them. So those are the only practical ways I can think of. As I said, that's a very tough question, because when the economy hits, it hits everybody, not only the lawyers, it'll hit the businesses. It may not hit the politician, but it'll hit everybody else. So how you survive if you have limited skills is tough, but especially in your early years. So that the only way I can think of it is whether the responsibility is taken by the professional organizations and the seniors to help, like simple things like seniors get together and try to assist with a little work, or something to do with some sort of a scheme where the lawyers can make use of some sort of basic survival means over a period of time, not just as a gift, but over and that they contribute back when they are better off, so that you can continue to help people who get into these type of situations.
Thank you, sir. Then moving on to the last question. This is posed to Mr. Ikram Mohammed, President's Council. Sir, as we all know, legal profession is very demanding and it could be stressful. And sometimes not only the young lawyers, but even the experienced lawyers find themselves unfocused, high-strung, humiliated, and sometimes lacking in confidence. These trivial, isolated instances could sometimes develop into unresolvable issues that may have an adverse impact even on the personal life and health of lawyers. Even though we don't pay much attention to this, training our mind could be a perfect solution. Do you agree with this? And if you do, what are the skills that could help a lawyer to enhance his confidence and also to remain mentally strong in the profession? Over to you, sir.
Good question. You know, how to remain. I suppose most of the lawyers, without all these things, they have stood strong mentally and otherwise. But some of the things, you know, feel how to be strong. And I think firstly, I suppose, as a human being, you must develop confidence in you. You must not give up. You must be able to say, think, and maintain that you can do this profession well, despite whatever interruption, whatever other problem that could arise. So you must build a confidence within you. And for building that confidence, perhaps I must confess that I have not resorted to any other thing. But I would say that confidence, one of the most important things, whereas I am concerned, is your stability in the family, stability or the family. If the family is stable, if the family can be provided with all what they need from their profession, I think one of the most or the biggest responsibilities is over. Because as lawyers, when we have young lawyers, they have family, they have wives, they have children. So when they go home, they have to take something for their family. And most of the junior lawyers, if they have no practice and if they can't provide what is necessary, undoubtedly they will feel mentally somewhat depressed and something wanted. You know, they will. So that position, I suppose, you know, I would think more than other exercises and things like that. I suppose we have, as seniors and above, say, we have a bigger responsibility to see that the juniors are some arrangement is made, as Mr. Jeffalagram told, that juniors are also looked after or by the seniors to an extent. You know, I think all the seniors are in a position to do something for the betterment of the juniors. As Mr. Jeffalagram told, we each of us can give a little more work to a junior, some sort of some existence, not financially, we could within our profession. Apart from that, I think I have heard in many ways where you must have your physical exercises, you must do a little bit of some observance in your own way to be silent, religious meditation, commitment towards your religion, and all those things, I suppose, are good, you know. And mostly, I believe your inner heart must be pure. So long as you don't intend something bad for others, your heart is pure, nothing can go wrong in you, and you should be able to develop your all other good qualities. Once you do those things, I believe you become a protected person. I don't think most of the lawyers do various things. I have seen lawyers going for exercises, going for swimming, and various other things. These are good things. But as far as I am concerned, I must confess, I have done nothing of that nature. You know, I have become a family bird, and I must confess that has satisfied me. And then when you are honest to your own conscience, honest to your juniors, honest to your colleagues, honest to court, I suppose you have your divine protection. I find it difficult to give any other answer. I hope you know That is so. Mrs. Jamil?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Overall, this has been a very inspiring and an interesting session. And I'm sure all the members who took part and who will be viewing this on the net will benefit from your ideas and views. So may I now hand over the session to Shania. Over to you, Shania. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Munasinghe. On behalf of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, the Professional and Career Development of Women Lawyers Committee, and the Seminars Committee, I would like to extend our deepest gratitude to our wonderful panelists this evening, President's Councils, Mr. Ikram Mohammed, Mr. Jeffrey Alagaratnam, and Mrs. Farzana Jamil, and our moderator for this evening, Ms. Sandamali Munasinghe, for sharing with us your own experiences, words of wisdoms, and if I may say so, tricks of the trade shared under the topic of the essential hard and soft skills of a successful lawyer. This has certainly been an informative and valuable session. I would also like to thank all of you who joined us through Zoom and YouTube for your questions that have made this webinar an interesting one. Thank you, everyone. Join us again next Sunday at 7 p.m. for a webinar on an equally interesting, inspiring topic. Good night and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good night and God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.